Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast. My name is Karina, and I am a psychic medium out of Calgary, Alberta. I wanted to do an episode about disappointment and lessons. I've really been struggling lately with being disappointed in humanity and how people treat each other. I used to see only the bad in the world when I was younger, and it really freaked me out. But then I worked really hard at seeing that good did exist and that there was more of that than the bad. But lately, I've been truly having a hard time again with seeing some negative things. I know this is all a lesson, and I will discuss lessons more in depth here shortly, but I've been so disappointed in how I've seen people that I love being treated poorly and also experiencing that myself as well. I posted something a few weeks ago on my social media because my heart was just so heavy, and I wanted to not only remind myself but others about being taken advantage of and feeling disappointed in the world. The quote that I had posted said, "Please don't ever get tired of being a good person with a good heart. I know it sucks being taken advantage of and feeling like it's better to be cold-hearted sometimes, but people like you are what give this world hope, so always be as good as you are and never as bad as they are." And then I wrote underneath the quote, "It can really hurt when someone takes advantage of your kindness. You wouldn't do it to them, so it's hard to believe that they would do it to you. Sometimes being a people pleaser can leave you feeling drained and used, but always remember to be kind and generous anyway. The world needs more people who are willing to be givers." This last year especially, I have learned so much about myself, but also about the people that I have surrounded myself with. I've seen how money changes people and how greed and jealousy can ruin relationships. I've seen people turn on each other over such trivial things. I've seen families and friendships fall apart. I've seen hate, evil, and such negativity that I almost lost faith in the world. And I have personally been taken advantage of multiple times in this last year. Now, I would say that I had allowed it to a degree because I love being a giver, and I don't expect anything in return. But I noticed that the more that I gave, the more that it was expected, and that wasn't really the issue. It was more the energy of jealousy that I felt that hurt the most. I felt so disappointed because I haven't had things come to me easily. I have worked so hard, and I don't just mean financially. I mean, I had to work so hard to be who I am today, and to feel so let down by people has been quite hard. If you have listened to any of my other episodes, you would know that I always speak openly and honestly at all times, and I'm doing that in this episode because I feel it's so important to share that these disappointments and letdowns are all part of the lessons that we must learn in order for us to grow. People are put on our path to love us, push us, to test us, and to teach us. And sometimes the lessons are lovely, but a lot of the times they can be downright hurtful and painful in so many ways. About 7 years ago, I was told by a psychic that I would start to see the truth about the people that I was closest to, and that included family and friends. She said that I would be taken advantage of in so many ways, and I didn't understand what she meant back then, but sadly, I do now. Also, last year, one of my students, who was also one of my closest friends, told me pretty much the same message as the other psychic. She told me that I would have to start placing very clear boundaries with the people that I was closest to. And even last year, I didn't fully understand what that meant, but I finally feel like my eyes are wide open and I can see so clearly. I may not always let on that I know the truth and what people's intentions are, but I do know, and going forward, I will be much more discerning about everything. Now back to lessons. This topic has come up multiple times in the last few months with many of my friends. It even came up yesterday with my sister-in-law. She texted me asking me if what was happening in her life was karmic because of how awful she was in a past life, and the truth is that that is an absolute yes. Months ago, I sat with my guides in a meditation. I had asked them why my life had been so brutally difficult, and it never seems to subside. I was asking them why one of my girlfriends has had it fairly easy, and believe me, I have psychically seen into her life and know that she has had no trauma, has perfectly healthy children, and just has so many things going for her. And by no means am I implying that her life is absolutely perfect, but in comparison, it feels as if I've been cursed. How could I have had so much trauma, pain, and heartache, and someone like her doesn't have to struggle? Well, the answer again is karma. What I have done to others in past lives, I had to experience myself in this life. So the people who seem to have it somewhat easy have already paid their karmic debts and came back to experience life in a much more enjoyable way finally. Does that make sense? So yes, I came back into this lifetime to go through the pain that I once inflicted upon others. I've seen some of my past lives. I know I have done some shitty things to people. We all have. Just some of us need to finally balance out that karma. We all have signed up to go through each and every experience, whether that be good or bad. And yes, sometimes it just plain sucks, but it is all a part of the journey. Knowing this really helps me to let a lot of the hurt go. For too many years, I sat around in a pity party feeling sorry for myself, constantly angry that my life has been so difficult. I blamed everyone for hurting me, and I was angry at God for allowing them to. It really wasn't until I realized that no one was punishing me, and I wasn't cursed. I had to deal with my karma, and it was as simple as that. So let's dive into karma a little bit deeper. Karma is one of the laws of the universe. So you know that saying, what goes around comes around? Well, this is true, good and bad. Karmic debt is energy or experiences that we owe. We go through these debt experiences as payment for our past choices. Sounds rather dreadful, doesn't it? But this law also applies to the good that we put out into the universe. Karmic debt more applies to the negative situations. Some of these have been carried over from your past lives, but also from your present life. Karmic debt applies to our actions from all lifetimes, timelines, and dimensions. They are all interconnected and intertwined. There is a higher purpose to karmic debt. It is to help our souls to learn and evolve by becoming more compassionate, empathetic, and loving. This universal law is to ensure that we fully experience and learn from the impact of our actions. I read this incredible article that discussed ways to figure out if you have a lot of karmic debt, and I wanted to reshare some of it as I believe it will be very helpful. So let's go through some of them to help you better understand why perhaps some of your traumas and pain are in fact karmic debt. Number 1, you struggle to stay in the moment. You may constantly be stuck in your past and unfortunately keep repeating the same patterns. You cannot be free from the energy and settle the debt until the lesson is fully learned. Number 2, your soul feels completely exhausted. The energetic imprint of karmic debt can be stored in your auric field, and that can affect your physical body. You may have feelings of dread, despair, or even depression. Number 3, you experience reoccurring unwanted situations. Until you can fully feel the impact of what you once projected onto others, the painful situations will repeatedly occur. You must go through the difficult lesson until you finally feel the depth of the action, and only then will you be free from it. You may even experience this situation until your soul is willing to finally embrace forgiveness. Number 4, you experience situations that trigger similar painful emotions. Similar to number 3, but the importance of this is to fully experience the emotions that are tied to your debt as a way to teach you of the impact of your wrongdoings. Through experiencing the painful emotions, you deepen your compassion and empathy, which will keep you from repeating the wrong. Number 5, when life never seems to be going in your favor. Because of karmic debt, it may mean that your life experiences may not be easy at all. It may feel that life is a constant struggle no matter how much you try to be happy. Feeling overwhelmed at times is common, as these are the emotions that you need to feel to repay your karmic debt. Number 6, you struggle with forgiveness. Unforgiveness can cause the karmic debt to be drawn out over a long period of time, and the only way for it to be cleared is through forgiveness. This is not always easy, but it is crucial in order to sever and heal the karmic ties. Number 7, you have close relationships that are very difficult. When you have a karmic debt relationship, it is particularly difficult. The person will hurt you, anger you, and challenge you in every possible way. This may include family, romantic partners, and friends. These relationships are the ones that will be the most difficult to forgive, but the greater the pain, the larger the karmic debt. Again, forgiveness is the key to balancing out that debt. Number 8, you feel stuck and have a feeling that something unexplainable is holding you back in life. That feeling of being stuck or held back is most likely because you have not fully gone through the experience needed to repay your karmic debt. You cannot move forward until this experience is complete. Now, I know this isn't exactly easy to hear, but it is true, and this is what the journey is all about. We can either sit around feeling sorry for ourselves or work on understanding the lessons and moving forward, one step at a time to evolving our souls. When you start to accept that every single lesson, good or bad, is to teach you something, it is much easier to navigate through life. It took me a long time to fully understand this, so I know that for some of you it will be difficult. But if you could just start to see that there is always a reason for what you are going through, maybe it will help to make peace with the difficult lessons. And being honest, I'm probably still going to get angry and upset every now and then with another awful lesson. But ultimately, I know that I will have to eventually come to a place of acceptance, knowing that it is a part of my karmic debt. I can't tell you how many times I've yelled at the universe because I'm so tired of the lessons. But I do know that my karmic debt is so high, as I've had multiple lifetimes of inflicting pain onto others. I came back as a healer to feel it all and to experience the pain like no other so that I can finally release my soul of all this terrible karma. So I want to leave you all with this today. Lessons will be painful, traumatic, and even horrific at times. But then there will also be lessons that are loving and kind and will fill your soul with love and peace. Each day we have the opportunity to be better than we were yesterday. If you feel the need to cry, scream, or be angry about another terrible lesson, then go ahead and feel those emotions entirely. But then if you could shake it all off and understand that the lesson was something that your soul needed to evolve, you will heal much faster. And if you struggle to understand how another's life is easier than yours, just remember, you don't know which lifetime they had to pay their karmic debt back in. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast, and I will talk to you all next time. If you would like to book a reading with me, I can be reached at www.divinemessages.ca or on Instagram at divinemessages333 or at the Divine Messages podcast. Please bear in mind that the perspectives and opinions represented in this podcast are based solely on the Divine Messages interpretations. We can in no way be held responsible for the actions of our followers.